more importantly, we'll keep our fingers crossed that no matter what, the crew, Group Captain Shukla, Peggy Whitson and the other astronauts are all safe. But that's the important information that we're putting out right now, that in the next 10 minutes, we should know whether it's going to be a safe blast off or not. At this point, there's some data that's missing, wind speed data that they're hoping to get in. And Shibu, we understand that SpaceX is working on this. The ultimate go-ahead when it comes to launch has to be given by SpaceX right now. We saw a couple of delays initially because SpaceX held off. It was due to weather, due to technical issues. This largely seems to be a mix of both, essentially.
Definitely, Akshita, we have seen that this mission, which was initially planned to launch on May 29th, nearly about a month ago, has gone through multiple technical issues, weather problems that they have incurred. They have seen leaks on the International Space Station. So eventually, the Falcon 9 has had issues, the Dragon spacecraft had issues, and the destination where the 4 astronauts are going, the International Space Station, has had issues. However, over the last 1 month, during these delays, all those issues have been fixed. Currently, we are tracking an issue, a glitch with the uploading of the wind speed data in the launch pad area to the Dragon spacecraft. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it's very, very important for the Dragon spacecraft to get that wind speed data, since it will then arm the launch escape system in case of any eventuality happens. Now, this is critical mission element for the Dragon spacecraft. If that data does not come together in the next 10 to 12 minutes, when the troubleshooting does not happen, we could see a launch being delayed. The first time when the launch was supposed to happen on May 29th, the delay was due to an issue with the Dragon spacecraft. Now, this is a brand new Dragon spacecraft that SpaceX has produced for this mission. This Dragon spacecraft was initially planned to use for returning Sunita Williams from space in January this year. However, that did not happen due to rescheduling issues, and it was then reassigned to the Axiom-4 mission. After that, when the mission was pushed to June 8th, we did see that there were high wind speeds in the launch area. Weather was a big factor. Now, as long as SpaceX does not get a clarity on all parameters, be it weather, be it the rocket, be it the Dragon spacecraft, or be it the space station, the launch does not happen. Since this is a crewed mission, SpaceX, Axiom Space, NASA, even ISRO, nobody takes a chance on these human crewed mission.
As it should be, Shibu, as it should be, that there should be no space for any sort of possibility or probability here, which is what we're putting out right now. And like I said, I'm sure a lot of us are disappointed looking at this news break that there could be a delay in liftoff. It could be pushed by 24 hours as well. But the utmost priority right now is to ensure the safety of the crew. There are 4 people on board that capsule. There is no place for even a 1% chance to be taken right now. And most critical really to these launches is weather, is wind speed. Previously, we've seen the mission already being delayed once due to unfavorable weather conditions. Wind speed is a big critical factor in these kind of launches. And I'll also bring in on this broadcast to kind of break down details of this news break as well. We've got Srijan Pal Singh, CEO of Kalam Center, joining us on this broadcast. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Can you explain to us how important data on wind speed is in this kind of a launch? Do you think that that could be a factor that could actually push the launch if that data isn't in?
Absolutely. If the integrity of the wind data is not accurate and the upload is creating trouble, it's only judicious to delay the launch until a moment of safety arrives. And if 24 hours is what it takes, then it takes 24 hours. That's how we protect our astronauts. Do understand that any space launch or its re-entry is one of the most complicated technological missions humans ever undertake. And absolutely no mistakes can be made on that. We've had issues in the past which have led to severe incidents. And the recent one was where Sunita Williams herself was trapped in the International Space Station for such a long time due to an equipment failure. Now, why wind is so important is because, see, when a spacecraft is launching, right from the stage of launch itself, at the launch pad itself, having the accurate wind data is absolutely important. And when you take off, the trajectory of the rocket system, where it attains the escape velocity and onwards move into the International Space Station, that trajectory, for that to be stable, you need to have accurate wind data. And as Shibu was pointing out, even in the event of any emergency procedures being launched, and these are all AI-driven systems, that accurate wind data is crucial. So wind plays a very, very important role in launch, And wind also plays an equally important role on re-entry. Wind also determines the amount of friction. Wind particles, the tiny air particles, exert a lot of friction on a rocket system as it moves out or comes back into the atmosphere. So that data is absolutely crucial, and we must have complete surety that upload is accurate, it's done in the right way, and the systems, and these are all artificial intelligence driven systems. The AI system has to give clearance that this is ready for launch. And what is happening is not, it's not something very, very alarming. This is a very standard process. So there is, from if T0 is the launch time, and if you work backwards, for every 5-10 minutes, there's a process which has to be completed. It's like a checklist. So that checklist, there's contingency to that. There's a time to resolve it. If it's not resolved in that point of time, the launch can be delayed. So good that we are able to identify that there is a glitch and we are able to fix it. And if we are not able to fix it as per the scheduled time, the time runs on to the next day. So this is where we are. I just hope safety is our priority.
100%. It's what I've been saying from day one. There's a lot of disappointment, yes, but the message was very, very clear. Better safe than sorry. And that must always be the case in these kind of manned missions, because we've seen a couple of them go wrong. That's the last thing we need right now. But also very interesting details also that Srijampal Singh gave us there when he said that, there are clear set procedures, protocols put in place. It's essentially a checklist. So you go tick on each of those. As far as wind data is concerned, there's a bit of delay on that front, but the information that SpaceX has put out and the live commentary that's going on right now is that in the next 10 to 12 minutes, we should know if there's a go-ahead for that or not. There's not going to be even the smallest possibility of any glitch hampering this launch. They will not allow that to happen. SpaceX, Axiom, NASA, none of them will essentially allow that to happen, which is why right now the wind speed data is awaited. We'll keep our fingers crossed that that comes in, but more importantly, we'll keep our fingers crossed that the launch happens in the most safe environment as possible. But let's explain to you what exactly we'll witness if the launch happens at 12:01 p.m. And through the course of that, I'll also show you why wind speed is so important. From the launch, obviously the direction of the ascent, all of that is not just decided by the rocket, but by the weather conditions, the prevalent weather conditions, and what kind of wind speeds we're talking about. Aggressive wind, harsh winds will affect the launch and the manner in which they plan their trajectory. But as the launch progresses, you'll see the first stage of separation. You'll see that happening even as the first stage has left Earth's atmosphere. Here's what's interesting about this particular launch. If you see the picture of really the rocket, you'd have noticed that unlike the usual rockets, which will be gleaming, looking brand new, you have the Falcon 9 looking literally burnt out. And that's because this is the second time the Falcon 9 rocket is going to be used. It's a reusable rocket. And here again, wind speeds matter, because what we're showing you right now is right after the separation, the rocket literally takes a U-turn and heads back. There's a landing dock that's been identified in that deck, very close to the Kennedy Space Center, is where, in fact, the landing will happen. So once it goes, you'll see it taking literally a U-turn. It flips and then turns around, for which, again, you will see, in fact, engines light up even as it enters back, to slow it down and ensure that it's a smooth touchdown back to its landing dock. So that is one moment, and for that too, wind speed's extremely critical. And then the other trajectory that I'm showing you right now, the one that's going right up, is the Dragon capsule. It's inside this that you'll have the astronauts seated who are currently there already in the capsule, waiting for the go-ahead and waiting for all of the procedures to be done. That continues its long journey to the International Space Station, to the ISS. It's a journey that goes on for about 28 hours. So if all goes according to plan, and we see that launch happening at 12:01 p.m., which is Indian Standard Time, which is the slated launch, in that case, tomorrow at about 4 p.m. is when you will see it docking at the International Space Station. But like I said, at this point, we'll have to wait to see if SpaceX gives that go-ahead, and we're going to await any sort of communication that comes in on that.